Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to Prime Hour, the first edition for this week. Today we're going to be looking at the role that has been played so far with respect to the Anglophone crisis of the Anglophone elites in actually getting us to where we are. Did they tell us the truth? Did they tell all of us what actually happened, why we are where we are? With the respective events that contributed to our joining with the East Cameroon, with our choosing to vote to join Cameroon, with the dismantling of the federal structure that existed between East and West Cameroon, to the events that led to a delegation that moved to the United Nations and the return to Cameroon, brandishing a United Nations flag that signaled an imminent arrival of the United Nations to ensure that southern Cameroon is free. What was the truth that has been told to Cameroonians, Anglophones in particular, and what were the lies that were also told by Cameroonians of English extraction? We're talking about Anglophone elites this far. Since the advent of the Anglophone crisis, what truths have been told to Cameroonians? What lies have also been told to Cameroonians to give them hope that there is going to be a separation, or that there is going to be this union that we have been living in? We are discussing this very, very touching topic with our panelists who are in the house already. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam is in the house with us. He is a politician and a social entrepreneur. He is an educationist also. Good evening, Dr. Nick. We're glad to have you.
Thank you very much, Leo, and good evening to our panelists. A very exciting topic. As you know, I was listening to you very keenly as you were trying to lay out the topic, but I'm not going to be interested in all of it. I will be focusing my energy on the general behavior of our elites, especially in our times, to show what makes us tell a lot of lies and why we tell those lies, and to also go to show that in as much as we are talking about Anglophone elites, we want to say that elites across the board, be they Anglophones or Francophones, we tell a lot of lies, and we want to find out why are those lies being told, because those lies, they cost us a lot of trouble. Okay,
we're also in the company of Barrister Achu Julius, who is a militant, fervent militant of the CPDM party. Good evening, Barrister, and we're glad to have you this evening.
Good evening, Leo, and good evening to my co-panelists. I'm happy to be here today. My heart goes out to those who have been kidnapped recently and been kept by these miscreants and unscrupulous fellows in the bushes. If I'm an elite and we need to believe in elites, I'm calling on those guys keeping the reverend gentlemen, people of the church, as well as the staff of the hospital in Banso Baptist Hospital, to release them with immediate effect, because what they are doing is out of place, is stupid, and doesn't concur with even the mission they have or what they think they are doing in the bushes. Please release those gentlemen, please. I'm begging on you as an elite.
Okay, we're also in the company of Lucas Nji, who is a very core member of Cameroon's civil society. Lucas Nji, thank you very much for answering present to our call this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kum, and thank you very much to my co-panelists. It's indeed a pleasure to be here tonight to zoom into the issues which we think young Cameroonians today, especially those from the Northwest and Southwest, who have gone off the rail, resulting from information they get and the actions which are coming from the ground from some of the persons whom we see as elites. Like Dr. Nick earlier said, I think it will be good for us to look at the elite, be it from a political party A, political party B, what would be their role in this particular crisis, and how far have they gone. I also want to say that though today is being quite a very funny day, I want to say that the roads were not relatively too deserted as many would have expected. because Cameroonians, especially from the northwest and south, and when we are taking decisions, we should bear in mind its consequences, because tomorrow it's going to judge us, and when tomorrow comes to judge us, we shouldn't feel like the persons of yesterday did not indeed love us. Thank you.
Okay, we also are in the company of Paddy Asanga, who is going to be coming in through from Hamburg in Germany. Good evening, Paddy. We're glad to have you this evening.
Good evening, Mr. Liu, and good evening to your brilliant panelists. I want to send a particular greetings to my elder brother, Dr. Ngwanyam, who is an elite, a voice which is well heard in Cameroon, Barrister Achu, who is also my brother from the same circumscription. We might not agree on everything, but I think that the thing that put us together is that we don't condole and we don't accept what has been sold to our youth. And contrary to those of you who are at the home front, I will be saying that because you people said the people in the diaspora are elites. So I'll be telling you how the elites in the diaspora, I don't know how you categorize them to be elites, sold a lie to our people. They are part of the problems that we have today in Cameroon. I am also living in the diaspora, and I'm not coming here to tell lies. I will narrate to you exactly what happened and how we got to this position where we find ourselves. So I'm happy that we have brilliant people who understand the situation on the ground. Dr. Ngwanyam will be coming from the elite on all sides, from both sides, and I will take a particular loop on those of us sitting here in the diaspora and doing what I call political scavenger, because in all this mess that we find ourselves in, you have not seen the child of anybody who is sitting here in the diaspora at the home front carrying guns and saying that he's looking for Mr. Bia in the bushes or kidnapping priests and hoping that, how do they call her, Brenda Bia or whosoever will feel the pain. That's where we find ourselves. It is misinformation. It is a lie to think that when you do things like that, some white boy who come from Germany, from the United Nations, or from America, or from Britain, or from France to buy your case. No, they'll only give you more guns to kill yourselves. And that's what I have learned for my 20 years being here in Europe. Thank you, Mr. Liu.
Okay, we just have been joined by Senior Barrister Ahu Emmanuel, who is the National President of the Reform Party. Good evening, Senior Barrister. We're glad to have you once again on Prime Hour.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Dr. Nick.
Thank you.
Good evening, my brother and Leonard friend, Senior Barrister Achu. Good evening. And good evening to televiewers and all militants and sympathizers of Reform Party. I hope we're going to have a nice debate.
Okay, Mr. Kum, good evening. We just got in some videos that a Reverend Father was kidnapped in Vikovi, a village in Jakiri subdivision by non-state armed men this morning. We join our voices to plead that day and the religious in Manfred Diocese be released soonest. We're going to be broadcasting the videos of the Reverend Father. I don't know whether you have them already, Eli, but I'm sending it to you so that we can actually watch what this Reverend Father who was kidnapped today is going through in Vikovi in Kumbu. That is in Bui Division, northwest region of Cameroon. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, we're talking about the role played so far by our elite, Anglophone elite. You think that we are where we are because of some of the lies told by our elite?
Yes, it's very
from the very early days. Huh?
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. You know, the Bible states very clearly that it's only the truth that will set you free. If you think that that statement is wrong, you're the biggest fool that ever existed. Only the truth shall set you free. It will set me free, it will set you free, it will set us free. So it doesn't matter what we are going through. look for that truth and stick to it. It's a principle. If you try to bypass that truth and do it your own way, it doesn't matter how many lies you pile on lies, it's not going to set you free. It only entangles you more. And that's why we are getting deeper and deeper in this shit. And as I was saying, these lies are not only told by Anglophone elites, they are told by Francophone elites, they are told by Cameroonians, and we are just getting ourselves into a big mess. And we need to get out of that. You know, the way the world functions is it functions on two kingdoms. There's the kingdoms of truth and light, and the kingdoms of darkness, lies, and falsehood. And it's so unfortunate that the human being, the human being like me, I'm good in the morning and I'm bad in the evening. That's just how bad the human being is. That's why you cannot say that the SDF is good and the CPDM is bad, the MRC is good and the other. No, we are all a mix of the same people with good and bad characters, you know, and we need to come kind of like, you know, do a lot of work to get out of that. I mean, it takes energy and determination to be good. But when man was already born a sinner, and you don't need to do anything to be bad. So telling lies doesn't call for any effort. It calls for efforts to be good, to be sincere, to be honest, and you have to pay a price for it. And that's what we are talking about. And I would say that 70% of our elites are liars. They lie from morning to evening, and they lie like I don't know what. It's a shame. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know. Is the video ready? Eli, can we see what has happened to the priest in Vikovi? Can we take a look at it? Let's start from the beginning. We have varying versions on the popularity of the outright independence option when Anglophones actually were still administered from within east of the eastern part of Nigeria. What was the popular sentiment? Was it outright independence, or it was to join this way, judged by the existing political parties at the time? Because the impression one has today is that, okay, almost everybody wanted outright independence. That is empirically, how can we prove that?
That is not true, because I can't actually say, because I was not then a matured person to understand the gimmicks of politicking and those things in those days. But I would say the tendency at that time was for Southern Cameroonians to join their brothers east of the Mongo. Why I say this is because if you notice, of all the political parties in that era, there was just one party alone that was for joining Nigeria. So far, a part of UPC, that was coming from the French part of the country, and OK, or One Cameroon, that were pruning for One Cameroon,
it was united.
Yes. But the tendency at that time, to the best of my knowledge, or from what I've gathered or read, is the fact that we wanted to join our brothers east of the Mongo. And what I feel was that, I usually say it was like mixing achu soup. You know, achu soup has a type of titration that is difficult to define, in the sense that you take oil and water and you mix it and it becomes some type of soup that everybody likes it. And you just need to drop in 1 or 2 limestone for it to give that yellow color, and it now becomes a national meal that everybody cherishes it, and everybody like to eat it, to share it. It was like that. And the mix was not well done at that very beginning, and that's why we're having problems. So there was nothing in our mind or in the mind of our parents of yesteryears to have an independent Southern Cameroon. If at all there was any, it was very, very insignificant, because I can't remember of anybody who actually came out for the third option, even in his political party. I know Endele's party was to join Nigeria, and the rest was to join French Cameroon.
We had many political parties at the time.
There were 6.
I don't know which.
There were 6 of them.
But what was the tendency? What was the prevailing tendency at the time?
Yes, one thing is very clear is that a delegation that went to the UN, thinking that they were going to listen to us and grant us the outright independence that some persons had loved did not actually succeed. That was not accepted. My focus in this is to look at how much lies some of these persons did tell in the course of this, because when you look at this, if you zoom into it properly, you will realize that the background of this, the lies of some of the elites, be it elites of the A party or the B party today in the Northwest and Southwest, did not indeed begin in the 60s solely. It began somewhere way back in the 50s.
Okay.
In the sense that if you look at those who had wanted us to come over across the Mongo to meet the people of the east of the country or the eastern part of the country, they had their agenda, and because of the agenda which they had, certain things were told to the people which were outright lies. For example, it is no news that Foncha did not indeed present unto the people some informations prior to the Fumbang conference, which they believe that if they had this much time to go over it, to understand it, because it would have helped them a lot. And so you see the foundation of the reunification of both sides was laid on a very solid, light foundation, which was relatively solid in quote, and so hollow to the extent where being unveiled today, being opened up today by persons who think that it was good. The sad thing is that being opening this today, we still are moving on with lies. For example, I haven't told a lie which he did not present to the people, Foncha. Now, it came to the 90s, which is where I think the whole of this is indeed coming from. We have had the NCNC all through this period because they have had their plight. They were just like the Malcolm X theory and the Martin Luther King Jr. theory, where the Martin Luther King Jr. theory was all about, okay, yes, we have accepted that these people are oppressing us, they are marginalizing us. However, I think that this should be the approach we are taking. And this is where we say that the Amber today and the Anglophone crisis are parallel. They have nowhere to meet, notwithstanding they are brothers per se. But when you look at them, one is gradually taking the other over. And what is happening? Today we are talking about the Ambazonian crisis. We are not talking about the Anglophone crisis, which is still pending, which is the issue of marginalization, which perhaps all this while the energy we have vested in this, we would have used this energy to come out and why not present certain things to ensure that the equity we are craving for is put on the table. So when you look at this event, moving right up to 1972, where we still had some of the Anglophones elites, where they continued with lies, they would meet the people, tell them horrible lies, take it back home, which was what I keep on saying, that once you get the wrong data to solve a social problem, you are going to add more to that problem than solving the problem. And this is where we are today, because the data that was given was basically a wrong data, especially to the person who knew exactly what he was doing. And those of us who thought that this data was going to solve a problem did not solve a problem, which brought us to the 1972 Constitution, where it was widely believed that the people were very okay with it. But if you go to look at it, you can clearly see this even in 2019, if you want to move on, where some of the elite, when they went down to the field to do some findings as to what the Anglophone want, you see that some persons in Kumba said, no, this is what we did not say. We said this is what we want, and they are saying that this is what they want. So you realize that both elite from every end, they kept on telling lies. And we see where we got to today, where the youth wing of the NCNC, which was very quick to manipulate the young ones in the field to have laid and maybe give arms to them today. And here we are today, we are talking about the Ambazonian crisis, which is a problem to the Anglophone, and the nation is talking about Anglophone crisis. Why the Anglophones are talking about Ambazonian crisis, the nation is talking about Anglophone crisis. So the Anglophone problem itself is not being handled. It's rather now a national crisis, whereas we would have been talking about the Anglophone problem. So you realize that the issues of this same flag that was brought from the UN, I don't know exactly whether they stopped in a certain shop in New York and obtained this flag, or this flag was maybe given to them from the inside. But the information they presented had to come in now and stir up that desire which many had nursed from the 1950s, the 1960s, the 1970s, right down to 1980s to burst out now. That is why when 2016 popped in now, it was very easy. The ground became so fertile the lies the people have believed all this while of we have been given our nationality by the United Nations, the flag that they gave us was a sign that we are now independent and things like that. The young people at the end of the day believed this lie, and today Anglophones, I repeat, are talking about Ambazonian crisis. The nation is talking about a national crisis, whereas we have the Anglophone problem, which is marginalization. So
you think there is a clear distinction between the Ambazonian crisis and...
It's clear. It's clear.
What is the difference?
The difference between the Ambazonian crisis and the Anglophone problem could still be traced in Fumban, where the constitutionalities of that particular constitution that was presented to the people is what the Anglophones and what had wanted. For example, if we go back to look at what the Foncha-led delegation wanted, you will realize that the system of governance which they wanted, they observed that it was not given to them. The little that we took, expecting that it was going to go through, sadly by 1966, with a system that the people had practiced, it was rather abolished. And the marginalization now set in, which is what? The death, the perpetual denial to ensure that all what was operating within the Anglophone part of the country continues. For example, the questions are still coming up today. What happened to the Manfe airport? What happened to the Tico airport? What happened to the to Powercam? So these are just part of the Anglophone crisis, which I think as the program will ride on, we are going to look into what caused the Ambazonian crisis to the Anglophones, which is lies, and why the Anglophone problem is not being solved, which is still another lie from the contemporary Anglophone elites.
Yes, Senior Barrister Achu Emmanuel, who was told a lie in the beginning? When you listen to many persons today, we are made to understand that the independence option was overwhelming. But when we empirically, there are no substances to justify that. Why are Anglophones actually the variants with their history? Nobody can say for sure what is right or wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. With all due respect to our forefathers, no Southern Cameroonian leader ever told a lie to any person.
Okay.
I think we should know our history and know it well. Foncha never told a lie to anybody. I have great respect for this gentleman. I think that the history books are there to tell us. Coming back to your topic, you see, the desire to join our brothers in the East, paradoxically, was started by Dr. Ndeli in 1959 when he created the Cameroon Youth League with objective to make the Republic of Cameroon give better treatment to the Francophones and eventually make our brothers to join us. Paradoxically, because this is the very person who at independence said, don't join them. He was the one who created the Cameroon Youth League, whose objective was to get the French to give better treatment to the Francophones and eventually to bring the two Cameroons together. Now, when I hear my brother here talk of lies from our Southern Cameroonian predecessors, my hair stands on end, because I don't remember anywhere where anybody must have told lies. From 1953, with the collapse of the Macpherson Constitution, when the Southern Cameroonians slammed the door of the Innu Eastern House and went and created their own parliament.
1963?
No, 50.
53, okay.
They formed their own parliament in Boya by Camara Parliament. They managed, this was a self-governing territory. Right up to 1959, when after the two London Lancaster House talks, the British decided to grant Southern Cameroons the status of an independent region, of the third independent region within the Federation of Nigeria. Now, where did this option? Because when I hear you ask your question, I have the impression that from the beginning everybody wanted to join Cameroon. That is not true.
Okay.
Southern Cameroon was a self-governing state. When the British came up with this Lancaster House thing, and they said, we are now erecting you to the third independent province within the Federation of Nigeria. The people were surprised that in 1960, it was the British, through the order in council in 1960, that brought the two options for independence. They are the ones, paradoxically, who came with the two options after they had enacted the Southern Cameroon Constitution. In 1960, they came up with the two options by another order in council that presented the two options. Either you become independent by joining your brothers in the East, or by joining Federation of Nigeria. Now, to show you that our predecessors did not like this option, they went to Manfe, where they held the Manfe Constitutional Conference. You can tell us the result of that conference. They all wanted confederation. They didn't want total independence, because that option had been taken away from them. They said, okay, we shall be going in for confederation. I hear some historians tell us stories of how they were going in for federation. That is not true. They were going in for confederation. And that is the reason why, when they reached Fuman, nothing that was presented to them was of interest, because they didn't see any confederation. They were seeing federation, which they didn't come for. Fuman having been a failure, the British organized Yaoundé.
Yep.
They organized Yaoundé.
I want our audience to actually be clear about what we are discussing. What was the overwhelming tendency at the time?
Southern Cameroonians would have loved to have their own state, but that option was taken off the table by Britain, that enacted the 1960 order in council imposing the two options.
Now, how were they going to have an independent nation? What are the structures that were supposed to carry these aspirations?
Like I said,
I'm sure there existed six political parties at the time.
Like I said,
yep.
In 1959, Southern Cameroon was erected into the third independent province within the Federation of Nigeria. In 1961, the Queen of England enacted the Southern Cameroon's constitution, which I showed you here. Then enacted that constitution. And then paradoxically, when it came now for Britain to ask the UN to grant Southern Cameroon independence, Britain came up with the two options.
Yeah, but my question is, the people themselves, you were talking about Britain.
The people would have loved to have their own state.
Yeah, but there are political parties that were existing at the time. Political parties exist with clear-cut manifestos. What were the manifestos of those political parties?
I want to say that at the time when these options were being presented, it was not a question to the political parties whether they should join X or Y. The country was managing itself as a going concern before Britain came in with the two options. That's what I want to understand. It is Britain that imposed those options.
Now, who were those? You said it was a self-governing structure.
Yes.
Who were those manning the structures?
Well, we had a government, we had a parliament that was bicameral.
Manned by who? By political parties.
Wonderful.
Members of political parties.
Of course now. They started organizing the election when?
What were the manifestos of these political parties?
Oh, you could go to the various political parties. You at KNDP, Foncha. I want to tell you that there was nobody who talked of joining X or joining Y. It was only after the options were imposed that they had to take sides.
Okay.
That Foncha now had to say, okay, with the two options, I would prefer that we join our brothers. And then Endeli said, don't join them.
I really would have loved to have a historian.
I can bring you proof if you want.
No,
truly, I can bring you proof.
Okay. Paddy Asanga, good evening once again. I don't know whether you've gone to your history books. Are you very comfortable with what our forebears did in the past? And have you read that it told us the truth, they laid down the truth to Cameroonians, or they lied?
You see, our forebears were very hard people, and contrary to what Barrister Am saying, and I repeat truthfully, I want to put him the rating. We, as the greater Cameroon, the German Cameroon, with the UPCs, they fought and said reunifications before independence to avoid the question that we have today. I know why Barrister Achu is saying what he's saying, that thing. I know why he's saying that, but I will not get into that debate today. But there's people who were clamoring for one Cameroon. You want to understand that they were close allies of the UPCs, And when the UPC people were being chased, called as Makiza, they found themselves in Kumba, they found themselves in all other parts of the northwest and southwest region because they were an autonomous territory indirectly ruled from Nigeria. So when he says that nobody lied, he should better say that the United Nations lied than to say that nobody lied. I would not want to start to go and speak on the memories of our forebears, but I want to say that Cameroonian Anglophones and Francophones, they were unanimous. And when he talks about the Manfred Declaration, go and look at the meeting that took place in Kumbas at the same time when people left from Douala, the UPCs left from Douala and were holding meetings in Kumba and the Kambe division. So we should be able to say that, and this is one of the lies that our elites tell our people because they want to do some kind of political populism, which I will not let it happen on this platform. So just to make that one clear, when we talk about Cameroonian has two problems, Ambazonia problem and the Anglophone problem. Yes, the Anglophone have a problem. But if you want to make the Ambazonian problem a Cameroonian problem, then you have to make the Boko Haram problem the Cameroonian problem. Because there are only two organizations in Africa today that prevent children from going to school, that kidnap girls, kidnap priests. And they say that they are fighting. Okay, let's say that Boko Haram is a subsection of Muslims. Ambazonians too are a subsection. But what is the name given to Boko Haram, and why is that same name not given to the Ambazonian when they are carrying out the same activities like the Boko Harams? We should be able to say those things. Barrister Achu, you are a lawyer. Take this debate to court, into any international court, and ask the court to show the difference between the activities of Ambazonians who are teleguided by so-called elites. Elites because they have swam across the Mediterranean Sea, they found themselves in Europe by any other means, and they are giving instructions to poorly educated people, children, who they are prevented from going to school. Let's look at that, the issue that we are talking today from that angle. We are not satisfied with the way we have been existing with French Cameroon. That is a different thing for us to come and sit here and tell our young boys and girls that nobody lied. It is not true. People lied in the diaspora, and we are going to dive into the contemporary situation from 2016 and we'll identify members of the government who lied that there were no Anglophone problems, but they sat on the table to look for Anglophone problems. We found there are people in prison who lied that the United Nations, just like people came up with flags at the Mongo Bridge and told a lie to our people. There are people in Konengi who told us that they were going to be at Ambas Bay. So there are lies. I don't know why Barrister Achu keeps navigating this thing. He also told us a lie here that Ambazonia had the capacity to purchase a fighter jet. So I don't know if he's in that logic to saying that people have not lied. If people did not lie, we would have converged under the panoply of Cardinal Tumi, under the panoply as Anglophones, as a collective political entity to find solutions, not giving guns that people should go and be kidnapping priests, left, right, center, beheading girls, burning schools, and we know people who are giving all those orders. Are those orders going to lead them for independence? No, it is also a lie. So we should be able to say those things, Mr. Liu. I'm listening to you, sir. Okay,
thank you, Paddy Asanga. Can we take a listen or a view to what has happened today in Bui Division, Kumbo, precisely Vikovi, with the Reverend Father?
Today, the 26th September 2022. Now the father of the COVID is. Yes, the father of the COVID is. The Unity Warriors don't arrest you or say we get hand the disappearance of a General Fire from PBH, where prove them day where we put down. But the world made it know. Yes. Bina Fada who? Eh? Bina Fada who? Fada who? Eh? Who? Who? Okay, okay.
Okay, very sad situation there. We know that priests and a reverend sister was kidnapped in Boyo, no, in Manu Division. Today we are having this situation. What is the expectations that the Catholic Church did not fulfill? Because this is also a part of the narrative. I'm sure they're acting on instructions that, okay, if the Catholic Church does this or does not do this, it's going to facilitate our reaching our goal. We remember that the SDF was also asked to leave Parliament because if they were to leave, this was going to happen. What could be the crime for the clergy today?
To face reality, to apologize to the society, and to be rehabilitated, to come back as human beings, because kicking a priest like that in public means you're a beast. Because I don't see what harm a priest can do apart of talking for him to merit to be kicked like that. What hurts is the fact that this thing has to do with the clergy. And I know some people are not bold enough to talk about it. And I will always say that the Catholic Church has to do so much for this thing to stop, because they were there at the very beginning.
Okay, they were there at the
very beginning.
Yes. Dr. Nick, you are a Catholic. Yeah. We know that the priests that were taken in Manu are still in captivity as we speak with the Reverend Father. Today we have in Kumbo, Bui Division precisely, we are having another priest being... Can we still take can we take another look at what just happened to the priest in Kumbo?
Now the father of the Covides. Yes, the father of the Covides. The Unity Warriors don't arrest you or say you get hand the disappearance of a General Fire from PBH, where prove them day where we put down. But the world made it know. Yes. Bina Fada who? Eh? Bina Fada who? Fada who? Eh? Who? Who? Okay, okay.
Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, what could be the justification for such a treatment? Because it is disheartening, to say the least.
You're right, it's disheartening. But if you look at this picture and you stick to this picture and you don't think beyond what you are seeing, you will not solve the problem.
Okay.
Yeah, you will not. Because we got into that phase of the fight, the struggle, the violence, called the dogs of war phenomenon. In the dogs of war phenomenon, the boundaries are blurred and things become very blurred. You know, when something starts like what we are going through in Cameroon, at the beginning you were able to say, this is A over here and he is red in color, and this is B over here and he is green in color. But as time is going on, because of vested interest and many things, it's like some kind of an osmosis where the red and the green begin to mix colors, and at the end of the day, you can't tell what is red, what is green, what is blue, and that's what we are seeing. Yeah, that's what we are seeing. It's all crazy. And now, at the beginning, you know, there was a political agenda. We want these things, but there's all shades of people in it now. There are all sorts of interest in it now: financial interest, power interest, greed. It's just a mix of things, and we are lost. And it is not I'm not surprised that we have gotten to this point, because in most conflicts we always go through these kind of things with all sorts of bad things happening on both sides. And that is why it is said that the best time to solve a problem is at the beginning. Put out the fire while you can. And there is nothing that puts out a fire better than the truth. Nothing. And because we were not bold enough, I'm talking about the government, to face that truth and speak that truth and do that truth, we are seeing things like this. And it's very, very unfortunate. And we have also been deceiving ourselves, thinking that we can fight this with guns and guns and guns and get to the bottom of it. No. The best way to fight this is to sit at that table, find out what is happening, talk to each other, and face the truth and solve the problem. And this problem would have been solved in 2019 had we not lied at the major national dialogue. The major national dialogue was a lie, and this is the fruit of it.
Okay, Dr. Nick, we are talking about the lies told by Anglophones, especially about the dismantling of the federal structure. What is the version that the population have today? Is that, okay, President Ahmadu Ahidjo got up and said this is what we have to do, and Anglophones played a very saintly role in the dismantling of the federal structure, but history has it that Anglophone politicians themselves went down campaigning for that to be done.
Yes, it's not, let's be very, very careful. It's not because you have a few Anglophone hungry people who will go and be telling the powers that be something, just because they are the elites or they're in power and are telling the government or the president something, doesn't necessarily mean that whatever they're telling the government represents the truth that the people carry in them. That is the big problem. It's not because we have some elites who are lying that whatever they told President Ahidjo represents what the people thought, because we saw it when the Musongo Commission came down on the field to ask, what do you people want? We told them, they were told exactly what Anglophones wanted, but they went with their own version. So these things keeps happening because of that frail nature of the human being. The human being is very frail indeed, and when it comes to character, it has nothing to do with whether you're a president, a prime minister, a general, a minister, or whatever. You know, it has to do with your upbringing, it has to do with your values, it has to do with your worldview, it has to do with the way with which you treat other people, and it has to do with what you are looking forward to. So when your values are warped and you don't put the common good in perspective, then there is a problem. Then there is a problem. And that is the real problem, in the sense that, you know, we think more about ourselves than the common good. And in 2013, President Biya spoke about, in 2013, President Biya spoke about this problem of the common good, when he said that the government was more interested in personal things than serving that common good. That is where the biggest problems comes from. Are your leaders, your elites, more for themselves, their stomachs and their families, or is it about the common good? That is where the problem lies.
Okay. You are looking at the population, but the topic today has to do with the political elites. There are never so many. There are just a minority of them. We saw them go down to campaign in the southwest and the northwest, giving reasons why this structure needs to be dismantled. Barrister Achu Emmanuel. Now, later on, we did not get the... Later on, we did not get... Okay. Later on, we did... No, they'll bring it. It's okay. Okay. Later on, we have not had the impression that Anglophones actively campaigned for the dismantling of this structure. Why are we hiding that aspect? Is it not in telling the truth that we understand that, okay, maybe we had our brothers, Bernard Fonlon, they did this. There was a problem between the Northwest and Southwest, and the Southwest, they created something they call Vikuma, and they went up to meet President Ahmadu Ahidjo, that there was a marginalization. Why are these things being hidden?
Well, if you look at it, I think what we have to understand exactly is the fact that it is said that the majority of the people were for it. That is because the majority of the people did not understand what exactly was going on.
The implications.
Yes, I will still relate it to today. Yes, I will relate it to what is happening today. If you go back to 2016, a whole lot happened. The people believed exactly the reality. And when the wrong thing set in, they did not understand how wrong they were. They still went ahead to believe in it. It is the same thing that happened in the 1972 situation of the constitution in Cameroon. Now, you may want to ask yourself, which of these particular elites went down and explained to the people, had a town hall meeting, had a village meeting, where they explained to the people that a unitary state means that this is now where we are, and this is what we are going to do. What really beats my imagination is the fact that the same people who said they wanted a loose federation could say that they were so much in support of the 1972 unitary state. It's a paradox, in the sense that it was just from 1961 or 1960s where they had several meetings. Some of these persons had advocated for what they call a loose federation, a confederation. Like Barrister Achu Emmanuel earlier said, that yes, they sat in Manthe to talk about how do we go about our meeting these people together, given that the option we thought was going to be accepted was now ruled out, and we left with just two options, either to join by or to join Nigeria, which is what the people had wanted. So you realize that something transpired, and the people are still being obscured with that particular information.
Which means that lies were told.
Eventually, lies were told.
Because now you say very well that they wanted a loose federation.
Yes.
But these same politicians are the ones who
jumped.
Who dismantled their parties in 1966.
Yes.
In favor of one party.
Yes.
The same person.
Now, this is why I am saying that two things happened, Mr. Leo. We, in as much as we have to respect our forebearers, but I want to say this: we have had wrongs committed by these people, and we are left with the responsibility to right them. Okay. As part of the program says. And what these people did not tell us is what were their take in the closing down of all parties then to accept that we should become a single party state. Now, it is very obvious that it was not the people's decision per se. It's rather unfortunate that the same people whom we are thinking that they accepted the 1966 decision and the 1972 decision went to the United Nations and brought us a fake flag. So when you look at it, you realize that something is happening, something happened, and nobody was able to explain to the people what exactly was happening.
And that is the focus of this program.
It's quite unfortunate that they had seized the people's sovereignty of reasoning, and they now had monopoly, and they were simply leveraging on the people to achieve their individual goals. If it were not so, the big question is, in 1960, you said you wanted a loose federation. Some of you sat in Manthe and said you wanted a confederation. By 1966, we are told that you were comfortable to accept one party. By 1972, we are still told that overwhelmingly they came out and accepted.
They went down for the campaigns.
This is what we are told, that overwhelmingly they came out and accepted the 1972 unitary system. You understand? So when you look at it, when you look at it quite well, and the same people came up again before the 1994 they had a convention in Bamenda where declarations were made contrary to all what they had done from 1966, 1972. So you realize that something went on. Who is not telling this? This is where we are. Which I think, to solve this problem, if I were to just move into the solutions, it is very obvious that they have erred. What do we do? Should we continue telling lies, as some of the Anglophone elite went to Kumba, some went to Bamenda, some were in Boya, where in the course of looking at what system would these people want, still within the peak of this crisis, the people said they want a unitary and effective decentralized system. Another lie. Because on social media, what we got, which we cannot roll it out, because some of these persons could bring out their faces on social media to tell the people that no, what they are telling you guys is a lie. We saw how hot some of these meetings were, these consultation talks were, where the people were that, no, this is not what it's going to be. We refuse all of this. Yet, they went to Yaoundé and said, our people says they want effective decentralization. What a lie.
Okay.
Where are we?
Senior barrister, can we understand this twist of positions?
No. My problem is, I feel that...
I thought I was the one. No.
Okay, let him just come briefly. After, yeah. Just go on. Yeah, go.
Politics is not a static matter. Politics don't stand on one place and be looking at you and me. It moves according to the conditions, the thoughts, and the wind of change.
Like Issa Chiroma was in the opposition yesterday.
Where is he today?
Yeah.
No,
If you think you can still live in the 1884 partition of Africa, Cameroon, you get it all wrong. If you think you can still live in the 1961, 61 partition of Cameroon, you get it all wrong. If you think you can still live the multi-party system in former Southern Cameroon in 1966, you get it all wrong. Because things have evolved until today. We are in a different dispensation. Right away, my friend Lucas, is Mr. Lucas, right? Mr. Nji,
Yeah.
He's saying that from internet or from WhatsApp, I see a cultural change and those things. Politics doesn't work that way. I've always said this. We Anglophones, we have a very good cause, but we don't know how to present it. We'll sit down in some small group of people, AAC1, and think that we can dictate what we think to every other person. Thereafter, we'll go to AAC2. Then finally, we jump to SCNC. Then another grouping comes, SCAPO. Another one comes in. Illegal groupings of friends who think that they are the best brains and that whatever they think should be what people follow. It will never work that way. Politics is in the ballot box. No matter how bad the ballot box is, that's the only place you can get good politics, which is acceptable. That is why, since 1972 to date, despite the divergence of opinion, Cameroon is still one united country because nobody can beat it. Nobody can beat that referendum. Despite all what is being said to date, nobody. You can make all the noise you can make, we can say all we can say, but the thing is that as we don't go to that ballot box, it won't go anywhere. If you create a political party, it means you can sell the political idea to the population. Come sun, come rain, if your idea is good, they'll buy it and they'll vote for you. How many people do that? Apart of the chairman of a political party who's sitting here, I'm a member of a party which I stand by it. Dr. Nitu. How many leaders?
Progressive.
Yes. Yeah, you see a problem. You're in the house. You don't go out. You don't run out. Yeah. You don't go to vote on a different ticket. You go to vote on the ticket of your party. Which is that what I'm saying? That is where we should do politics. Not what all these guys are doing. If they think that they can succeed to convince one part of Cameroon that we need a country which is independent, it's only through politics. And what we are making this mistake. Politics has nothing to do with lies or truth. Politics is politics. Don't tell me that. Well, once you should understand that for Foncha, to gain grounds in the 60s, he had to back up the United Cameroon to beat Ndele, and he succeeded. How can you say that's a lie? That was politics. He did politics. For Ahijo to hold Cameroon as one country, he had to convince 6 political parties, West Romongo, to dissolve and join his own and form to join Union Cameroonese to form the CNU. It's politics. In 1972, when there was a referendum, I'm sure Senior Barrister Achu and Dr. Nig were alive there, or strong enough to understand. In 1972, I was still a kid. I was still in primary school, so I just couldn't participate. But you see, they did it that way, and it went through. So if after 1972, we start complaining and doing nothing, and not doing politics, nothing will change. In 1984, they changed the Cameroon was changed from the United Republic of Cameroon to the Republic of Cameroon. Who has done what to change that? Nobody. Apart from sitting and crying behind the backs and causing those small autocratic and non-democratic groups to discuss issues that affect all of us, instead of doing the politics to convince the common man, the man that rides the bike, that what I'm saying is the best. Join me and let's do this. We don't do that.
Now,
so if you see, so the problem is, so what I'm saying is that we cannot call our politicians liars.
Okay, they did not lie. They
told the truth. Can't. Okay, they lived their era and they did things the way they were supposed to do at the time they were. Just like now, if you don't do what you're supposed to do now, we'll still sit down and be gnashing our teeth and be crying.
Now, I'm just wondering, do we have political liars today?
We don't lie in politics. Politics is a game.
There are no lies.
To me, there's no lie or there's no truth.
It's just a game.
Politics is politics. How you go with the wind.
How I wish we should endeavor to say the things the way they should be. When you say Senior Barrister Achu, when you say Achu, pardon, Julius, I think that would be the differentiation. Now, when you say that politics, there is no lie, there is no truth. Where do you place the people? Let me get these facts right. You meet me and say, vote for me, there will be this road. I gave you my vote, and the vote never came until I died after 100 years. Come on. That was a lie. That was a lie.
So, if you believe me, so the lie is not from my end. Who's saying? The lie, those things are perceptions.
He told you he was going to
those things are perceptions. Maybe it's you now saying it's a lie. I've said it, right?
For example,
and you gave me the vote, right?
And you never did it.
When you know the telling that is a lie.
Because
by the time I was doing it, I was convinced that I could do it. What the situation? You see, there's a whole lot. So that's why at the end of the day, it's like the wind. If the wind starts blowing, you can't stop it. Okay. That's the politics. It takes you. Despite good intentions, it takes you along.
Somebody says coming in.
Okay. It takes you along.
The politician tells you, I'm going to construct this road,
yes,
hoping that maybe it's going to raise 1 billion to do the road, and
yes,
maybe in the course of his mandate, he fails to get it. But he promised that he was going to do it.
Is that a lie?
Yes. Trump said he was going to make America great again. We don't know what happened. Sarkozy,
is it a lie?
The French people,
it's
that
politics.
I was going to do this.
That's what I'm saying. It's politics.
And today he's running up and down. Now, but the question is, you said you lived the 1972 campaigns. Were there campaigns in the Southwest and Northwest?
Mr. Leo, I've been silent for quite some time.
Yeah.
There was this question of the Reverend Father who was adopted.
Yes.
And I said nothing about that.
Okay, you can before.
So
yeah.
I think that to have the solution to these problems, we must know what is actually happening. After the installation of the Bishop of Manfi, which was attended by the Minister of Defense, there was an audio sent out by somebody who called himself the Commissioner for Home Front. And in that audio message, he threatened that they were going to attack, that the Amber Boys were going to attack. In fact, he gave instruction that the Amber Boys should attack all priests and pastors who are found of certain churches. He cited. He said Catholic Church was banned throughout Southern Cameroon. Presbyterian Church and Baptist were only authorized to operate in Kumba and Bamenda. I remember very well.
No, that audio, we played it last time. Yes, it had to do with back to school. It has to do with back to school.
So yes, that was where they get their instructions to do what they are doing. Because their reason, they said it was because the minister's presence in the installation of the Bishop of Manfi shows that The church is working hand in gloves with the government. That was what they said. So I think for this thing to be debunked, our missionaries should make it possible to clear the air, because I don't see, personally, I'm a Muslim. I don't have anything to do with churches, but I don't see how the churches work hand in gloves with the government. I can be mistaken, but I don't see. So they should try to debunk this, because it is a very pitiful sight to see Reverend Fathers being arrested. I mean,
and kicked.
If you listen to the video that was being shown, that gentleman was saying that he was accusing the Reverend Father of being responsible for the abduction of General Fire or something like that. That was what he said. You see, so it ties up with that their audio message that came out, and I think we should take this thing seriously and try to find the real solutions. Now, coming back to your question, 1972, I was a student of Bilingual Grammar School, Boya, and we were all forced. Our school uniforms were replaced by CNU uniforms. We were all forced to wear CNU uniform. They said it was national integration, and all of us, since we were in government school, our uniform became the CNU uniform. You are asking whether our politicians went down. Yes, they all went down. They all campaigned. Because, like my brother here said, this was seen as a national event. It was seen as some national glory that was coming to the people. So they lived their epoch. They were doing what they thought was correct. But they were disillusioned when years thereafter, the fruits of what they contemplated were not forthcoming. Okay. And they now tried to sidetrack, and it was no longer possible. So it was true. They were all inside. And I want to join my brother here who asked himself the question, how is it possible that the very people who left man face saying that they wanted a loose union are the very ones who dissolved their parties? But it happened. It happened. We saw a letter written by Foncha in 1963 asking Ahijo, when are we signing a unity treaty? We saw the letter. Curiously, the same man dissolved his party 3 years later to join Ahijo. So you see, those things happen. Now, when we come now to the political lies, I think we should be truthful. There are political lies.
Okay.
My brother here talked of social media. No, sir. I remember when this crisis erupted in 2016, the president sent a commission round, a fact-finding mission, to go around and listen to the people. There were audio messages, there were video messages, there were videos of what happened. Videos were taken, but what surprised us was that when the commission went to Ewane to report, their report was contrary to the videos we were seeing. Because the one in Kumba was very, very rough and tough. Because there, somebody came out and said, nothing short of federation in this country can appease the people. But when these people went to here, only the story was that they wanted 10-state federation. 10 decentralized regions. Yeah. That nobody in the grassroots ever said. That was a clear lie. It was a big lie. You remember again. Excuse me. Remember again. In this country, we have lived the suppression of internet. Excuse me, sir. We have lived the suppression of internet in the southern Cameroon in this country. That was as a result of another lie told by our elites. They went and told people around that it is because of this internet that there is amber fighting. It's a fat lie. Internet was suppressed. The ambers stop fighting. You see, no, there are people who tell lies for political gain, and I think what did they gain? How do you know? I think as it is. Well, I will answer him. Let him what did he gain? They gain appointments. Okay. They gain appointments. Some of them appointed presidents of commission. Or you don't know them. No. That's a real lie. They gain appointments.
Now, Paddy Asanga, I know you have been following up. Now we have. I don't know how much investigations you've done on the Mungo Bridge event where we were told that the United Nations gave a flag to a delegation to tell the people that no, in Mungo. In Mungo Bridge. No, in Mungo Bridge. No, there is a delegation that was. Foncha was part of that delegation. Muna was part of Dr. Simon Munzo was also, and Barrister Eli. They went and there's a doctor who bought the flag. We are told that that flag was bought in a gift shop. But when they came, Senior Barrister, why are you laughing now? Yes, come on. Yes.
Kalio,
yes.
I understand my advice because I'm coming diaspora. And you have seen people talk, laugh, and say all sorts of things, but I feel marginalized. Let me tell you that I am not going to put through my words. I feel marginalized because you have let your panelists talk 2 rounds without bringing me. I thought I was just a spectator here. But that notwithstanding, there are a number of issues that I'm going to bring out here before I come to that Mungo Bridge lie. And there is Mungo Bridge Lie 1 and Mungo Bridge Lie 2. We should understand that. The Mungo Bridge lie that the United Nations was coming and an individual. I don't like to castigate contemporaries who are no more, but I want to say things the way they are. And then there is the Mungo Bridge lie that they set up a bomb to explode the Mungo Bridge, which was an accident. Those are some of the lies that we tell our people. And this lie has been claimed by people who are sitting here in the diaspora. So we should be able to say that. But then I would want you to restore my time of talking to as you have done for the other people. When people talk about Ambazonia, when was Ambazonia born? Ambazonia was born when Mr. Biya unilaterally moved from United Republic of Cameroon to Republic of Cameroon without a referendum, and then changing, disappearing one star on the Cameroonian flag. And a smart person, a very smart barrister, like my co-panelists who are sitting here, took advantage of that situation and created what you call Ambazonia and said Mr. Biya had seceded. And what did he go further to do? He went further to copyright that word Ambazonia. He made it his intellectual property and then tried at certain point to go to the United Nations to proclaim himself. He calls himself the president of the Republic of Ambazonia that they call ROA. That is his own group. We should be able to tell our people that fact. But this same individual, Fon Gojutika, in 1990, I think it was the 10th of September 1990, he sat with late Abe Mukong, late Dr. Siga Asanga, in Washington, D.C., and was saying that the SDF has come to resolve that Anglophone question. That is to go back to federation. Those videos are there. You know, I am somebody who's keeping archives. So anybody who wants to challenge me on that, I will play that video. I'll send you people those videos and you play it on your platform. Now, coming back to the truth, because we should not only talking about lies without situating where the truth is. The truth is this. Tafawa Balewa against Ahiju. Tafawa Balewa wanted the Southern Cameroons or West Cameroon to be a part of the Nigeria Federation. And Ahiju said they were going to be a state of equal status where you had the Fumban constitution that was proposed by France. We should be able to tell our people those things also. So the spirit and the DNA of Cameroon is a federation. We cannot refuse it because that federation worked until they sold that idea to the people of the English-speaking Cameroonians that they were going to harmonize their salaries because they were not viable to come in a conglomerate where the salaries had disparities. That was the reason that people voted massively. Because if you want to denounce the lie, tell people where the truth is also. That one is very, very clear. So we should understand that there was a reason why our forebears campaigned for us to join French Cameroon, living from Nigeria with precarious salary, and France had already had its hand and in Cameroon, and many people, the salaries of civil servants were harmonized. That was the greatest talking point during those campaigns to unite the two Cameroons. We should be able to tell our people that, because the absence of truth makes a lie also, but we should also be able to identify the lie. Coming back to what Dr. Ngwanyam just said, that he said they sent a commission on the field, Misonge Commission, and they came back with a lie. Who sent the Misonge Commission? Why did that person himself not go on the field? Dr. Ngwanyam is saying that thing because he's a CPDM militant. He wants to protect Biya and throw the blames of others. If Mr. Biya had gone on the field on his own, he would have gotten the truth. Why does he sit in a 2D and doesn't go on the field and expect people not to come and lie to him? Because Barrister Achu, who is also a CPDM militant, has told you that in politics there is no lie and there is no truth. But Senior Barrister Achu, we agree that there are political lies. But for these two CPDM militants who are sitting here, they are telling you that there are no political lies. So when we move forward from that perspective, you come to understand that at a certain point, we Anglophones, we have to rectify that. What are we restoring? That is the question. You cannot restore something that has never existed, because we have to accept the fact that we are a post-colonial entity within Cameroon or within Africa, whether we call ourselves Anglophones or Ambazonia, and blah, blah, but Ambazonia is a subsection of Anglophones that claims that they are part of the British culture that is used to beheading people. We know that the atrocities that the British did, but majority of Anglophones, they don't belong to that British culture that has to do with beheading people and preventing children from going to school, chopping people's hands, and so on and so forth. And who gives those orders and lying to the youth that they will get independence? There are people who are sitting in the diaspora and telling those lies. So we should be able to say that. So we should not use the fact that many people have lied and don't tell our people the truth. Now, to conclude about what is happening, Barrister Achu also said something which was not completely true about the audios that was sent by a certain commissioner of he calls himself Commissioner of the Green Front. Actually, his name is Willie Ayon. He emanates from Marwa, from Manu, and he works with Sako Ikome. This is by design. Since these guys said, noticed that there was going to be no international institution that would stand behind them, that would support the barbarism, that would support kidnapping for ransom, they said, okay, maybe if we touch the Catholic Church and the religious leaders who are soft targets, the world will start talking. And you heard the Pope spring on board. But I don't know if they know the danger that they play. I'm not a Catholic, I'm not a Christian, I'm a son of Kwifon. I don't know. I respect the Catholic Church. That's why we work so hard with His Eminence Cardinal Tumi to make sure that we bring Anglophones together of all shades of life, because nobody makes you Leo an Anglophone than me. Nobody makes Barrister Achu an Anglophone than me. Nobody makes anybody who has taken even the nationality of America, France, Britain to be an Anglophone more than me, who still has my Cameroon nationality, or somebody who is serving in Mr. Biya's system. If they don't understand those dynamics, they will send people's children to the slaughter slabs, because in this current configuration, the person who wins are those countries that have ammunition industries. Africans would never win. And I'm talking from a vantage position as a Pan-Africanist. I never thought the way I was thinking now. Some 20 years ago, when I was dismissed from the university, I was very upset with people like Agotabi and Mr. Biya, Akamen Fumu, all of them who were in charge, Obuno Akong, Messi, and so on. But today, after living with the white boys for a very long time, understanding their dynamic and being interested in international world politics and the politics of within the economic and geopolitics, you understand that there are 62 countries in the world that produce arms, but only one country in Africa produces arms. And when there are situations like that, they are the people who benefit, and we kill ourselves like chickens. We slaughter ourselves like butchers. I think I would have responded to your question, and I'm listening to you if you want to follow up.
Thank you very much, Abakwa Boy. Glad for that intervention. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, we're looking at the lies told. We have very varying versions on the true situation of the West Cameroon Bank. We are told that Ijo closed this bank, but historical facts will tell you that we have many persons who borrowed money from the bank and never paid back. And how do we even understand that persons, okay, the Mungo Bridge saga? It's just of recent that Dr. Simon Monzo is telling us that what was told in 1995, I'm sure, was a lie.
You're right. It's very important that we speak the truth. If we don't speak the truth, we'll only get ourselves into a lot more trouble. And at the beginning of this program, I said that, you know, even Dr. Ngwanyam is good in the morning and in the evening he's bad. And then he confesses and in the morning he's good again and in the evening he's bad. So the human being is like this, he wavers a lot. But what matters is whether at the end of the day, do you weigh more on the good side or the bad side? You know, initially I'd believed that that flag that was presented on the Mungo Bridge was true. Not until I think Dr. Simon Munzo, who went to America and who was standing on that bridge, he made his confession that it was a lie. I'm talking to 27 million Cameroonians, you know, the Anglophones and in the diaspora, whatever. That UN flag was bought from a gift shop, and they just brought it along, and in the plane they decided I should come and make that cinema. So nobody in the United Nations gave them the flag, and nobody said that West Cameroon was independent. And then building on that lie, you know, when the Anglophone problem started, somebody on social media brought a picture of a UN helicopter from somewhere and said that this helicopter actually was sitting on the Tico airport. And United Nations fighters were at the Tico airport. And then I think our presidents from America were flying in and they were landing at the Tico airport too. You see, these kind of lies, these are the kind of lies that have created a lot of problems. And one of the lies that was told at the beginning too was when the schools, when things were just starting, and they said no, school should not go on for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, or something like that, and that the what is this UN agency for schools again? That UNESCO was going to cancel the year or something, and was not going to hold. We believed it, and they said it was just going to be a 2 months, 6 months things, and now it's 6 years counting. So you see, it is all these lies that have led us into a place of no return, which is not very helpful. Like I said, the Anglophones have told a lot of lies, be they either Anglophones of the Ambazonia group, who are looking for separation, be they the Anglophones of the union government who are sitting in Yaoundé and feeding fat. They tell a lot of lies. So we have all these lies coming from both ends that have created a mix that is very, very confusing to the people. And until we face that truth, we are not going to get out of the mess. We must face the truth in love. Thanks.
You must face the truth in love. Now, let's look at the response to the crisis. When the crisis started, there are some Anglophones who felt that, okay, we should use the argument of force. Others said that we should go violence, each person giving their justifications, and so much hope was given to the people that, okay, let us make a little bit of sacrifice. In 4 months, a year, the United Nations was going to come, and the United Nations Security Council was going to look into this. Do people really fear what others are going through?
You see, last time I said we still fail to do politics.
Okay.
We Anglophones, we fail, and we think that we can sit in small groups of friends and take decisions that everybody should just follow. What those guys like Muzo and Co did on the bridge was not politics. It was just a few friends just sit down. You gotta invite Honorable Muna or Pa Muna and Pa Foncha, who are getting senile already. You come and stand like statues at the bridge to create what effect God alone knows. In any case, when this thing was happening, this so-called let's fight or argument of false argument, I once asked Dr. Muzu, why not create a political party with their force of argument or whatever? Because I know he's one of the guys who concocted that thing with FECO, yeah? Why not create a political party? Push it to a political party. People will vote for you. You will not have a say. Why are you afraid of the ballot box? And I'm sure he will never reply to that. Because that's where the problem is. You can have a bright idea. You just sit with a few friends and believe that you're very intelligent, everybody should follow you. Politics is not that way. It's just not that way. You can't do it that way. This thing happen, people say, well, they will take guns to fight, and it's going to last how many months, a few days, or whatever. Look, I've lived in countries where there were hard civil strife, like in Central African Republic. I saw it in front of me, like a joke. It's still going up to date. How many years after? It's not finished. So those things, when you start it, it becomes very difficult to stop it. Because as it gets a momentum, many players come into it. And as many players come into it, it becomes very difficult to manage. The only way you can do it is ask for people who are in it to apologize and repent and come back and be accepted. Because you can't stop it. Fighting it means killing a lot of people. If the government could stop it, but I bet you, it would not less than 20,000 people die. They're dead. Is it worth it? If the government needs to stop it, at least 20,000 people will die. Is it worth it? I don't think so. So the only thing is, I think it is high time we go back to the table. This country was united out of politics and nothing else. It was not in small groups like AAC or SACO or whatever or whoever who sit in some tight corner to decide for other people. Organizing them to buy guns is the worst of it, because at the end of the day, those who are organizing people to buy guns have lost the train of it, because they can't control those guys who carry guns. Because those guys, you need to be a trained military person to know how to be disciplined with a gun. Those thieves and thugs can never be. So it's gone out of hand. They themselves don't manage anything, because nobody can tell me that those guys abroad manage anything against this country. It's not possible. Because the way things are, every gun-touching person with a gun feels his power. He has power, and he can do and undo. And that's why you see somebody, some nincompoop can afford to kick a father in the ribs like that, because he's angry or wants to ask him a question. Those are the consequences of what we have now. We never sat down to think that, as a group, what do Anglophones want? And how do we go about it? Let's stop this group, these finger groups. Come to get some sort of consensus to tell the world, or even to tell ourselves that this is what we want. As of date, we really don't know what we want. Because I will talk to Dr. Nate, he will tell me confederation. I will talk to the chairman, he will tell me his own. I will talk to Mr. Nji, tell me his own, because we just can't just sit down and agree to one thing and convince others to join to follow. That's our problem. That's why I have a problem. And you see, at the end of the day, people say elites. Now, if Anglophone population is 8 million, we have 8 million elites. Who will not listen? Who has to listen to the other? We have a problem. Leadership is a big issue. Everybody, as you say, if you want to defend our elites, all of us qualify as elites. Who is telling the truth now? Who is telling lies? Who should we follow? We have that problem. You see, so you need to convince me. The problem is that you are not convincing me. You are not convincing anybody. Otherwise, I've been with you for how many years? You ought to convince me. If you cannot succeed, it means what you have is on the table. Maybe my interest is not there. Well, you see, but that's how politics is. Politics is a game of interest. The day we Anglophones sit down and understand that politics is a game of interest. If you want the interest to be put in place, make sure you convince your fellow countrymen to follow you first. So that the day the ballot box will come in, people vote for you. We can say, no matter what we say, whether you like it or not, Frundi created an impact. For the first time he went for elections, he created an impact. All we like, he created an impact. With that we agree. No, he never won election, but he created a serious impact that this country has changed ever since. But because he succeeded in uniting people. Right now, who is there who can unite that same type of people?
Okay, that's the question I have
it's
for
only Paul Biya.
That's the okay. It's only Paul. It's only Paul Biya. Senior barrister, have we really had an issue of an Anglophone political leadership, an elite of the Southwest and Northwest region who can aptly represent the interests of the people, and how do we get them if we consider, like you and others are saying, that lots of lies have been told?
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Let me start by answering one of the points raised by my learned colleague, who said Cameroon was created from the table. I think we should tell the truth. Cameroon was never created from the table.
Okay.
The UN intended that this country be created from the table, but it wasn't. Have a flashback. You see that it is the absence of that creation on the table that has led us to where we are. So the solution is that.
I didn't say table, politics. Don't change my words. I say Cameroon politics. Politics, not table.
Okay.
Politics.
Yeah, all right. I give it to you.
Yeah.
All right. Coming back to your question, Mr. Leo. My little friend here said there is no Anglophone who can unite Cameroon. That is not true. You see, he is able to talk today very loud because he belongs to a party that has a grip of the nation. He said, let me tell you that your honeymoon will soon be over. Your honeymoon will soon be
30 years today.
Please, look, please stop,
30 years.
Stop jubilating because your honeymoon will soon be over, sir.
I'm not lying.
I am saying that your honeymoon will soon be over because the problem now is, as I said here on this very panel, we have to take cognizance of the fact that after 6 years of warring, there is no independence anywhere in the horizon. So the solution is certainly not a military one. Let us learn from the Irish example. Jerry Adams, after fighting for a long time, decided to go to the political arena, where he created a political party, and that was what brought independence to Ireland. I have said here that, look, the Anglophone population in this country constitutes a huge political force. If all this population can rally behind one party led by an Anglophone, Reform Party is very handy. Contrary to what you say, no, let me tell you, contrary to what you say, this is the only party in this country that has a solution to end corruption. Your own cannot even try. For 40 years.
Corruption is as old as the Bible.
We are the only people who have a
corruption is older than the Bible.
To create employment, to end unemployment by creating jobs from our own means. That's very important. You see, if you look at what is happening outside, galloping inflation every day. Now, misappropriation of public funds, I don't understand. You have a whole government in prison. We have the solution to end misappropriation of public funds. So tell me, if all of you support Reform Party, that already has its feet all over the national territory, do you think CPDM will have a chance?
More than CPDM.
No way. I am telling you, with what we have already, if
convince
the
them.
Entire northern and southwest,
if you convince them, I'll join you. Convince them, I'll join you.
You don't know how many have been convinced. I'm very sure that you yourself will join the Vanguard. Because if we do that, CPDM will stop tormenting Cameroonians any further. I mean, you are.
Am I tormenting you?
Are you CPDM?
Yes.
Is your name CPDM?
Wonderful.
So
my middle name. My middle name.
Okay. So as I was saying, if we have a credible political party like Reform Party into which all Anglophones can enter, then this thing can be over. How can it be over? Officially, even from the major national dialogue, our stand, Reform Party stand, was confederation. Officially. I've always said it. Our stand is confederation. So, Dr. Nick said here, let us sit on the table. What we need is a president who will create that enabling environment for Cameroonians to sit on the table and examine the form of the state. And I am ready to create that environment. So, am I an Anglophone who can solve the problem? Yes, sir. Problem. If I am president, I will create the enabling environment for us to sit on the table and decide the state, the form of the state. And you say, of course, end that nonsensical war, which is killing people for nothing. Have I answered your questions?
Yes, yes. But today, can we see that we have an elite that can speak for the people?
Oh, well,
Well, Emilio Ellis, who is not an elite.
well, we do have elites who can speak for the people. We have elites who speak the people's minds. You see, the CPD man here will tell you that Mr. Bia can speak for the people because he has been elected by the majority. We don't know. There are elites who speak the people's minds.
Like?
I will give you examples. I am one. I'm one of them. My Dr. Nick, that they say when we live here, people say yes, he spoke our minds. Am I lying, sir? Apostle Ambe, we have people who speak the people's minds. So we have elites who do speak the people's minds.
Speak some people's minds, yes. I agree. Some people's minds.
Yeah. No. Let's get back to one event.
Some people's minds.
We have this visit to the President of the Republic of the United Nations envoy when Cameroon was preparing for the celebration of the 50th anniversary of its reunification. And he handed two maps to the President of the Republic, and I got to meet somebody who worked with the United Nations who gave me a version saying that they were contemplating on what they could give to Cameroon as it prepares to celebrate its 50th anniversary of reunification. So they felt that, okay, since it's the reunification, let us get things that actually signify what they are celebrating, and that is how those maps were presented to the President at the Unity Palace. But the version we have today was that the United Nations came to tell President Paul Biya that we are starting up the process of of separation, and since then we are I don't know what has come out of it.
Yeah, I think I'll be looking at it from two
angles. Okay.
Yeah, different angles. Firstly, if you look at it, it is obvious that issues concerning disintegration is not set in a man's house. The body that sits to decide on that is not set in a man's house. When you mention the UN, we are talking about persons who decide on that. So that part, it is very obvious that that was not the story. Away from that, if you look at the picture, the postures and the rest, you realize that there was a significance with regards to why two maps were handed over. It's rather unfortunate that for other reasons, we have leaders who think that they are the bosses. In a democracy, the philosopher king is the people. The people, you respect them. And this is just part of what the president would do. Reasons why sometimes when he speaks, he will say as the constitution, which means the people have given him that power to speak. However, there is a part which is conspicuously being very absent, in the sense that there are communications which Barrister Achu Emmanuel mentioned, that what stopped him from moving down to do some of these fact findings, which is what he is not doing. And because of that, there are things.
No, it's not Nick. No, it's Paddy. It's Paddy who said.
Yeah. So it makes it very difficult for the people to see certain things. Now, yes, of course, what was the significance of the map? Every other person will be asking questions, but there is only one person who has the answer to that particular thing. And diplomacy and classified information eventually keeps that away from the people. But I think that it will not be possible that the United Nations comes to Cameroon to hand over to President Biya two maps that, okay, you see, we have disintegrated your country. So
the process of disintegration is going to... Yeah.
Yes, or we have just ignited or maybe started the process of disintegration. That cannot be possible. That was also a blatant lie being told to the people. But I have a problem. Why the people will believe so much in lies? I think it's because the basket of the elites is full of half truth most often when they go down to meet the people. And the worst part of it is when they are meeting the person they think is their boss, whereas their mandate where they got this exposure is coming from the people, and they are mismanaging that. In fact, Barrister Julius says, permit me to go with Julius to get the differentiation, says when you look at it today, we have almost 8 million elites. Somebody may want to say yes, but I think we cannot have 8 million elites. we have persons and we have some people whom others have said yes, because of this level that we see, the way you operate, we think you could do certain things for us. Not that the people do not know that they also matter, but they are saying that for the sake of us. So because of this, it has made it very difficult for the people. I will still say that the absence of meetings before the crisis by the elites, it is unfortunate that most often, even before the 2016 situation, most of the elites will go down to their areas only when they think they were about to canvass for votes that will inflate in some areas. We should be able to make things right with our people. Okay. And this is why when the crisis started, the trust which the government expected to come between the people and the elite did not exist. That is why the elite became the target, because they have been telling lies. And because of this constant lies telling, they could not even go back to discuss with the people. And we keep hearing some people who say, go and talk to your people. They will fold their arms and sit in Yaoundé. And when they sit in Yaoundé, they hold meetings and they blow high grammar and they expect that the people should just succumb to it. But they cannot go down to the field and talk to the people. Now, if we are saying that before 2016, these same people whom you say today you are their elite, and you were doing your best, you had a very cordial relationship with them, where results were being proven based on your relationship. Just like one other lie, even though Barrister Achu Emmanuel, Julius will tell us that the ballot box, which is what I openly advocate for, that every young person, I emphasize because they constitute the majority, to go for it, a lot of things will change. We will be moving to that. If you look at the whole point, just like another lie that was told even in 2018 elections, the result that was presented was a further lie.
Okay.
Because if this result came from these same areas that we are talking about, why the resistance on the ground the way it is?
Okay.
So we should be able to solve our problems by identifying how do we meet our people, what do we tell them. There is no crime if you take the truth back to the president and says, okay, I've been to Mamfe, and my people says if they federate the country, a majority of them says we want two-state federation. I think they are also talking about a referendum. Why not? Let's try that referendum. The president will not kill you.
Okay.
So why telling the lies
you mean
which the people are not saying?
You mean Kamto won the 2018 election?
No. Of course, Kamto did not win. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the level of support.
Okay.
Yes.
You mean elections in the Southwest and Northwest region?
Yeah, the level of support which some people say was poor. Which they poured on the people, that the people had so much support from their people. They never got that. It's obvious.
Paddy Asanga, I want you to react to this theory of something unique in Anglophones called the Anglo-Saxon culture. Have we seen a display of that culture these 6 years? And the dismantling of schools, Lords, the St. Bede's, all these big schools, what is the message behind their destruction, because they have not been fully functional, and the CDC has been hampered, pummeled too. What is the truth behind all of this?
Leo, there are hidden truths that are told the Anglophone population. And I will try. I have taken some notes with me, and I heard somebody say that the advent of force. Remember 2001, if I called some my mental state, and you and in the same light, when Cardinal Tumi was trying to address the Anglophone question, he said they should go and put themselves together and create a political party. If these people were smart enough, they would have done that and then start advocating, say that, oh, I'm going to vote for you because if I don't vote for you, you cut my head. Do you think Any Africans will come and vote for you because, oh, yes, you are Boko Haram, you prevented our children from going to school. You kidnapped the Chibok girls. You are Ambazonia. You have created alliance with Biafra and so on and so forth. It is a lie. There is another hidden truth which our historians are not telling us. What happened to Ayub Tabe and his group? That truth has not been told to Cameroonians. And I want my able panelists who are intellectuals, elites, in Cameroon, to tell the people that the extraditment of Ayub Tabe back to Cameroon when they were picked up in Nigeria, Nigeria was just sending back the ladder what Ahijo did in the 70s when they were, I don't have the exact year, when Biafra came and converged in Club 69 in Bamenda. They had their, what they call their headquarters there, their QG. Ahijo picked them up and sent them back to Nigeria. That's the truth. So when you tell people that, and one thing we did with Dr. Simon Mozo and Dr. Molambako, who is a retired military man, we reminded Tassang Wilfred and Ayub Tabe that if you are saying that things that you are saying and you say you are going to pick up guns, leave Nigeria, and if you are saying those things that you are saying, if you leave Nigeria and you go to any country and you say you are going to pick up guns, they will extradite you to Cameroon, because most of our people, they don't know our history. Remember that at the time, Biafra combined had a very important population. They had money. They had the support of Cote d'Ivoire. They had the support of Gabon and some other countries. And ELF at the time, the only person who stood on the way of Biafra was Ahijo. Why are we not telling all this to our people? So that they know that it is an ambiguous adventure that would never happen. It would never happen. And the only corridor that they can have as a retrenched camp could be Nigeria. But Nigeria has already told you by taking your president and handing him over. And today, I will come to your question.
No, we don't have time, Paddy.
Okay, let me take your question. The smothering of our school system is by design, and it has nothing to do with Anglo-Saxon culture, because from the get-go, they started by enforcing school boycotts with guns. The idea of stopping school temporarily was to send a signal to Yaoundé that the dynamics have changed. But when you come and you enforce school boycotts with guns, whom do you think is going to support you? And you claim that is the Anglo-Saxon culture. Why has the Queen, why has nobody in the Anglo-Saxon world, Britain, Scotland, America, who are all Anglo-Saxon, why is nobody supporting them? Why is not? Now they are crying that there is an international conspiracy against them. Why? So they should go and make a introspective analysis, think about their strategies, and then they'll come to the conclusion to understand why certain some of their people are being indicted in the United States of America. Their trial is going to be at the end of this month because they were smuggling guns. Smuggling guns to go and do what? To go and prevent children from going to school, shooting them and burning the school. That's the Anglo-Saxon culture? No, I don't think that that's the Anglo-Saxon culture. And the civilized world would have to classify these people. They only have one identity in the African context. That is, they can only be identified to Boko Haram, who also stops schools. Because when you go and read all the international charters and the declarations coming from the white boys, the United Nations, that they keep on repeating the United Nations like program parrots, they tell you that it's a universal right, human right. It's a universal human right. But you hear some of them come and tell you that don't respect international human rights. That thing doesn't count for us. Well, I don't know why they are saying the things that they are saying. But what I also know is that at a certain point, the chicken will come home to roost. And there is only one Cameroon, that one Cameroon of Detumaza, the one Cameroon of John Gufoncha, the one Cameroon of Félix Roland Mumier, the one Cameroon of contemporaries like Frundi and late Cardinal Tumi. May his soul rest in peace. So if we Anglophones who want to look for a way forward, we should walk into the footsteps of these people and stop the bloodshed. Any other thing, it's not feasible. And I think that the world is not going to create a 55th nation learning from what happened in Sudan. And we have been on diplomatic corridors with these people when this thing started. Remember that we started and we were fervently advocating for federalism, and we worked with them and we went to certain provided memorandas. Then when they shift away, everybody turned his back from them and they started saying that no, they wanted to collect money and so on and so forth. White people don't like to get their days disturbed. There are many unemployed Africans here. And if Africans come out peacefully on a working day to say they want to go and disturb the business in Élysée or in Berlin and in Westminster during a working day, those people will start saying that, but we cannot be partners when your people who are here with us living peacefully are complaining about you. How do we do business in such an atmosphere? So the strategy is wrong, going to destroy our laureate institutions that have created people like you, Dr. Ngwanyam, Barrister Achu, then my able man Lucas, and Barrister Achu. I think it's a failed venture, and one of those people in the diaspora who always say it as it is. I think that they think what American has done by indicting some of my friends who are here in the diaspora is a good thing, and I will be a witness, a crown witness, to confirm that they don't merit to be walking and breaking the laws of this country. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam.
Yeah.
Yes, how do we right the wrongs of the past?
How do we right the wrongs of the past? It's a very important question, and I've been meditating on it for a very long time. And you see, we've been sitting here and talking about politics from morning till evening. And if you listen to the debates on most TV stations, radio stations, it's all about politics. And I've had the opportunity, Leo, of discussing this with you and a couple of people in the background. We, as a people, don't know how things work, and I'll continue to say it. Once you've got that understanding and it's become very clear, then you will see what has to be done. Adding the form of state, because the form of state we have now is not the right one. We need to set our political agenda on the right foundation and do things properly. The problems that we have now cannot be corrected by an election. To correct these problems as it is now, we need a government you call it a government of national transition, or what is the term? A transition government. And that transition government has to sit down and actually look at the problems eyeball to eyeball and solve them in truth and in love. And at the end of the day, democracy doesn't work in Africa. What we need before the democracy ever works is to reset the whole machine. We need an enlightened, benevolent despot to make things happen. Someone who behaves like President Kagame, who behaves like Magufuli, who behaves like the president of Ghana, somebody who behaves like Peter Obi. You say this is good, and we go for it and we solve it. That is what is going to happen, and we are going to go to that table, create a form of state, suppress a lot of these structures in the country that are wasting money for nothing, create new elites, because the elites that are, yeah. Well, it doesn't have to do whether it's Francophone or, we are looking for truth. We are not looking for whether it's Francophone. It has nothing to do with all foreigners. So we need to be able to correct these things. And why so again? Many of our people are lying because the education has been poor. The education we've had for 60 years has been poor. We need to correct that education and get it right. So there are lots of things that we have to do, but the leadership and the management and everything has to change, and a new government has to come in place. It has to be, what did we call it again? A government of a transition government that will get it right.
They themselves are very much aware that what they're doing is wrong, because they're not all they need to do is they apologize to the society, they drop their guns and get back into the society. There are not two ways. If you think that you can go and affect the economy in Dop, just go and there and see what will happen to you. Talk economy, talk agriculture, whatever. Go there and talk about what you're saying in Dop and see what will happen to you. If that thing there has not stopped, nothing can happen there. Because let me tell you, everybody was scared.
Because the major national dialogue was fake.
The unfortunate is that you participated in it and you went something fake and you still went there. So it doesn't make sense. So I start doubting you. No, I start doubting you because if it's fake, don't go. You were not supposed to go. Then secondly, you see, it's not because your hand is paining or is painful that you should have a new body as a transition to take care of that hand. At times, even the Bible says that hand, if it is hurting, cut it off and let the body continue living. This crisis has taught us one thing. Cameroonians have become more united than ever before because the amount of Anglophones that have moved over to the Francophone zone, it has never been like that before. So at the end of the day, what they think they were doing, which is some harm, is doing something good for this country by bringing us together. I went right to Betua. I saw Anglophone community. I went to you saw in Bolova, in Vomeka. It's Anglophone community. It has never been like that before. Mm-hmm. So this country is God has made it in such a way that this misfortune has some fortune, something nice somewhere, which is the unity that all of us want in this country.
So should we praise the arm carriers on them?
No, I call it a misfortune. A misfortune at times has something which is good. And what is good is the fact that we are coming together as one. So at the end of the day, those carrying guns are going to be very much isolated because as of date, the only friends they have are amongst themselves. They are not amongst the population. They are not amongst the greater part of the people. They are amongst themselves and they will get so isolated in such a way that they will be surprised. So it's earlier, I'm appealing to them, the earlier they drop those guns and get rehabilitated to come back to society. Even just apologize for what you've been doing. I'm sure they will be forgiven by the society and those things will end. Because if it doesn't do that, we've really started the time of vendettas. It's going to come. Because you cannot kill my brother or cut the neck of my brother or a finger. And I know it is you. And I'll allow you moving freely like that. Something must happen. As we're moving, we'll move from Anglophone crisis to Ambazonia. Ambazonia is dying out of thieves and talks around the place. Soon vendetta is going to come in. And when the vendetta comes, it's going to be worse than this. We shouldn't get there. We should do everything to avoid getting there. And the only way to do it is, I'm pleading to you guys carrying your guns. Drop those guns and apologize and come back to join us to build this country.
Okay. Lucas, what should we do to get those Anglophone elites who would not be described as liars, who would ably represent the interests of the people?
I think it's very simple. Rehabet did a research to understand exactly what is happening, especially with the young people, because this is the class of persons who are greatly into this conflict, especially with the polarized situation which we have today. In as much as Barrister Julius says, there have been so much unity because the people have moved. We are yet to test that hypothesis because we have seen quite a number of persons complaining every now and then, though they are living there. Of course, where there is a gun and where there isn't a gun, where there isn't a gun, though bad, is somehow better than where there is a gun. That is the fact. So, with regards to the results we are having on the ground, the young people says the apathy which the elites have built in them can only leave when the elite should start saying the truth. And in this case, remember, I'm talking about be it the elite of the supposed republic or be it the elite of the Cameroonian Republic, from whatever party you're coming from. Because the whole lie, the lie that was told brings us to where we are today, and until we stop with these lies, we are not going to move further from this. So if the people truly want to solve the problem, if they want to really see us live the way we had desired to live, because we had plans to go above 2016. So 2016 simply came in and took us 30 years backward. And so we want to leave now this 2022, if possible, to move further. And what is going to take us further is that we should be able to say them the way they are. Those who think the president listens to them, they should know that the people do not want the lies they tell. Part of the lies was equally told in the major national dialogue. These things are factual. And part of the lie is still being told that things are okay. Like some will tell you that the situation is under control, which is a day-to-day lie. I don't understand exactly what they mean when they talk about the situation is under control. So we should be able to say the truth the way they are. We want to solve the problems in the country. We don't want to add to the problems. So we should think about reorganizing a dialogue. The people of Chad a few months ago saw no reason and said, well, no matter what happens, we should sit together. And they sat together and they are thinking towards something better. So let us do that. There is no crime for us to do that. When we do that, we would have solved our problems. Even in the US, when the issue of Trump, the Americans said we cannot be divided to combat Russia in Ukraine. They have come together because they want to take Russia out of Ukraine, because they understand what is happening in the world. So why not? We should come together, and we can only come together when we say the truth. Don't tell lies to the boss thinking that you are buying your head. You are simply sowing a very terrible future, which will be very difficult for you to sustain. Sadly, some of these elites are going older. I think they should start reasoning that if I go older and I cannot retire, because the president is going to go back to his village like he told us when the French president visited, that, well, if time will come and I will go back and sit in my village. Think about it. He will leave that area. Would you also live in Yaoundé forever, or in Douala, or in Bamenda, or in Limbe?
Okay.
So think about it.
Senior Barrister, are you also, you want to lead the Anglophones through your political party? That's what you're saying. You want everybody to...
Yes.
Are you engaging other political elites to join you so that you can...
Now, you see, when you look at what is happening in the country, each time you want to call other political parties to come together, you have satellite parties of my good friend here who come there to explore the whole thing. We are not interested in that rigmarole anymore. Reform Party is capable of beating CPDM if we have all the Anglophone population pumped in their votes into Reform Party. I'm telling you, the force we will get, you will not imagine it. Because the Anglophone population can give us 3 million voters, at least. I don't know where you can get that one from. If you put that one into what Reform Party has, it's fantastic. We are going to rule this country from it today. And you see, we'll bring an end to the war and an end to all the suffering. We have a good plan of action that will ensure a better lifestyle for the population. So you see, look, the only solution is the way forward, and the way forward is to join Reform Party so that, like you say, through the ballot box, we'll bring an end to the suffering that has been meted on us for 40 years by CPDM.
Okay. Paddy Asanga, yeah, last words to Anglophones this evening, and Cameroonians as a whole.
I'm very saddened at my friend, Mr. Achu Emmanuel, stating that he was part of the national dialogue and that. And that only tells you that his leadership is not that competent. He's an elite who is not competent. But then, this is what I want to tell you. I went to the national dialogue. I did not go there as a militant of the Social Democratic Front, but I went there as somebody who came from the diaspora to look for solutions. And during that national dialogue, the commission that I wanted to go to, or to go in and make my arguments, was occupied by somebody who came from our group. So when everybody chose his group, I went to the de-radicalization, that thing they call the disarmament. That was not the argument that I brought there. And before going there, I had spoken to the cardinal, and I told the cardinal that the only thing that will come out of this thing is when you would guarantee to us that all those boys that we pull out of the bushes proud to the Anglophone General Conference that you called for, and some of us came to Cameroon, even though it was aborted. Tell them that they should not touch them. These people are alive. That is a takeaway message for me. And for me, politically or socially, I don't need anything, because I think with the work and the insistence, the persistence, you remember at the time we said adopt Amber Boys, and we adopted some of them. Some of them are driving, they're working at Douala seaports because they learned to drive the forklift and so on and so forth. So I am not here in doing political negation because I want to be opposition because it is opposition. That's not politics. That is not politics. And I'm very saddened when I listen to Barrister Ahu Emmanuel speak the way he's speaking. Now, when we went there, as a militant of the SDF, one day after that meeting finished, we conclaved at Oja, and we came out with a solution. And we said that we should adopt the Quebecan model where the minority is in power in Canada. And you know, today, many people, the Anglophones in Canada are in the minority, but they are in power. Or the Francophones are in the minority, but they are in power. Sorry for that. And that is the model that we propose. We are not inventing the wheel. And Canada, nobody will stand tomorrow and say that they will separate Canada. So if the Anglophones come in power, it will be a perfect consolidation, according to the vision of the SDF, that Cameroon, they shall be one Cameroon once and forever, and this question will be evacuated. So how do we get an Anglophone president, or how do we get an Anglophone? The opposition is going to present an Anglophone candidate with a content transiting from Jacobinism to federalism. And then, because we already know, and you have to anticipate, they have their candidate that they are just pushing him left, right, center, goes and see Macron, go and represent us left, right, center. So we, the opposition, have to come out with a candidate and give that candidate a content that would lead us from Jacobinism to federalism. And the people might decide, but we have our own version, and we say our version is the Quebecan model. So Anglophones should come together and push to think in that light. Whether you are CPDM, whether you are this, if you love that country, one Cameroon, as we are saying it, because there's a movement within the SDF that is called One Cameroon. So we cannot run away from those facts. So when I come and sit with my able brother, Barrister Achu, whom I like so much, we might not agree on certain things, but I think that you people on the ground, you have nurtured the courage to come and speak above all odds, telling our people the truth at the risk of your own lives. You know, Leo, one thing I'll make here clear, I like your platform because each time you invite me, Ambazonians, they come on your platform and they want to. This is the only platform that they can come and write all filthy comments and nobody blocks them. And I want to encourage you people to continue in that line. Thank you, and thank you very much for bringing me in. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Paddy Asanga. Thank you to Dr. Nick for coming.
Oh, thank you very much. Before I give back the microphone, I just want to debunk this other lie that's been told a long time, I mean, repeatedly, about the international community. You know, with what has been happening in Ukraine, the death of the Queen and so on, a lot has been unearthed that tells us exactly how that international community is. That international community is just made up of human beings like you and I, who are good in the morning and bad in the evening. You trust them to your own peril. So to be killing your own brothers here and thinking that by the time you have killed 3 million or 4 million, the international community is going to come and solve your problem is a lie. And to think that it is the international community that will come and solve the Anglophone problem or the problems of Cameroon is a lie. Because with the death of the Queen, so much was unearthed, and there are so many countries, you know, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, a whole continent, they have issues with Britain, and the West Cameroon problem is a very small, tiny problem as far as Britain is concerned. Britain has a bucket full of problems, so don't expect Britain to come. America has got its own problems, France has its own problems, all these people. that international community does not exist. And this problem we have in Cameroon will be solved by you and I. It's you and I who will solve the problem.
Okay.
And it's the truth spoken in love that will do it.
Thank you very much, Barrister, for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Leo, for inviting me. It's been very interesting. But I would like to conclude by saying that truth or lies is a perception, and it depends where you find yourself. There's no static truth or static lies. And you should understand that when the context in which we find ourselves in Cameroon now is because of politics. Every epoch or every era has things which are very peculiar and particular for that era, and you have to take into consideration. Cameroon has gone through a lot of historical facts, which may be true or lies the way you look at it. But to me, when it comes to the politics of it, we cannot say that it is true or lies, because politics is like it goes with the wind. And when the wind starts, you don't stop it. As of date, we have a serious problem in our hands, which is the fact that a group of individuals are carrying guns and moving around the place. They are not fighting for neither for independence, nor for federation, nor for whatever. They are actually using guns to raise money, I'm sure, for themselves or their families or whatever. They're not there fighting for you and me. If they are relatives, please advise them to stop, because whoever lives by the gun will die by the gun. If they're ready to die, okay. But they are our brothers. I don't wish them that bad. I'm begging them again to drop their guns and come and meet us for us to build this country. When I talk about politics, because if you look at the landscape, you look at Cameroon as a whole, there's only one political party that has a stronghold. Nobody goes to a political party, nobody joins politics because he wants to lose. It's good to be the winner, because while a winner, it is easier to affect the lives of the people, because winners will always win. And winners will always do the good to these people because they are on the right side of the coin. If you join a political party because you feel that because of emotions, because of sensations, without good reasoning, we always find ourselves in this mess, because you get in that party and run out, as we've been seeing.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming too, Nji Lucas.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here once more. The call we're making is, if you have that child, that IDP child, that orphan within whatever community, especially within Boya, please feel free to get to us, because they have every right to be in class. They have every right to get education, which is simply what Rere Habet is out for. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you too for coming, Senior Barrister.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. I have a small message for the people. Politics is like football. In football, the ball is round for everybody. In politics, the opportunity is there for everybody. Don't be intimidated by any person because he is in power, he thinks that he will remain there forever. Put your vote where you think is good, and you will be surprised. You vote that fellow out of power, and you have your own person put into power. Vote, join Reform Party and vote CPDM out of power. That's the way you can solve this crisis.
Okay, we want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of the program. Thank you, Desmond and Eli, for producing the program. Let's take another rendezvous tomorrow, 7 p.m. to talk about issues touching on our relationship and marriage life. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.